God richly bless you, beloved. We're going to go through the book of James. Overview of the epistle of James, the brother whom Christ loved. Author is uncertain. There are three prominent persons named James in the New Testament. It is generally agreed that James, called by Paul the Lord's brother, according to Galatians 1:19, that James was the writer of this book of James, of this epistle. Date written. It is said possibly this book of James was the earliest New Testament book written. Many feel it should be dated before AD 49, since the issues of the famous council in Jerusalem of that year are not mentioned. The purpose of this book is to challenge believers to possess an active faith, one which will produce real changes in a person's conduct and character. To whom written? Apparently, it was addressed to the Jewish converts who lived outside the Holy Land, possibly also to the devout Jews of the dispersion, according to James chapter 1 verse 1. Main theme: practical religion manifesting itself in good works, contrasting or opposite with mere profession of faith. Keywords: faith and works, according to James 2:17. And then the key verses are James 1:27 and James chapter 2 verse 26. Synopsis: this epistle does not easily lend itself to analysis, but most of the material may be arranged under two headings. It talks about true and false religion. True and false religion. It's divided into two. So the I part, I believe, is divided, into three. It's divided into three. So we're going to look at the first part. I, which is the marks of a true religion. James chapter 1. We're going to break it down. Number 1, joy and patience in the midst of trials. James 1:2 verse 4. Number 2, unwavering faith and singleness of mind. James chapter 1 verse 5-8. Number 3, that's the marks of a true religion. Number 3, acceptance of the providential allotment of life by God. You have to accept it. Chapter 1 verse 9-11. Number 4, the endurance of temptation. Chapter 1 verse 12. Number 5, the recognition of the sources of temptation and the results of yielding to them. James 1:13-15. Number 6, the recognition of divine source of all blessings. Know that all sorts of blessings come from God. Chapter 1 verse 16-18. And then spiritual hearing, deliberation in speech, and patience under provocation. Chapter 1 verse 19-20. Number 8, forsaking all evil, the meek reception of saving truth. Chapter 1 verse 21. Number 9, searching after the truth and practicing the truth. Chapter 1 verse 25. Number 10, practical philanthropy and purity. Chapter 1 verse 27. And then we go to chapter 2, which continues with number 11. Good works. So chapter 2 is also talking about good works. Chapter 1 is talking about what I've shared. Chapter 2 is talking about good works. So we continue with number 11, good works. A, as a demonstration of faith. So your faith should produce work. Something should back it. Chapter 2 verse 18. And then cooperating with and perfecting the faith. Chapter 2, verse 21 to 25. And then we move to chapter 3, which is number 12. We are continuing heavenly wisdom. Chapter 3, verse 17 to 18. Then we go to second part. So the second part is the marks of false profession. So the first part is the marks of true profession or true religion. The second part is the marks of false profession. We're going to go through chapter 1 again. Chapter 1, careless and forgetful hearing of the word. Chapter 1, verse 22 to 24. The resemblance of religion accompanied by the unbridled tongue. Chapter 1, verse 26, that if you have faith, you watch your words. Chapter 2, respect of persons, honoring the rich and despising the poor. James says is not good religion, which is chapter 2, verse 1 to 9. Number 4, from the aspect of marks of false profession. Number 4, partial obedience to the law. He says if you obey 9 and you lose and you disobey 1, you disobey all, you break all. If you are able to obey 9 and break 1, you break all. That's how James brought it. Number 5, unmercifulness, chapter 2, verse 13. Number 6, mere profession of faith unaccompanied by acts of mercy and help, chapter 2, verse 14 to 16. Number 7, inactive faith, chapter 2, verse 17 to 18. Number 8, intellectual assent to truth without change of character, chapter 2, verse 19 to 20. Then we'll go to chapter 3 again. So each part of the kind of religion he said we should do, whether we're doing the false or the real one, okay, it takes you through 1 through 5, and then the other one also will take you 1 through 5. So that's how James has been written. So chapter 3, the unbridled tongue is destructive in its influence, chapter 3, verse 1 to 8. Number 10, blessings and cursing proceed from the same mouth, chapter 3, verse 9 to 12. Envy, strife, and satanic wisdom, chapter 3, verse 14 to 16. And then we go to chapter 4. It talks about these are the marks of, showing that, you are false. Okay, so we go to chapter 4, which is unrest and unholy passion, chapter 4, verse 1 and 2. 13, unanswered prayer and worldliness. Unanswered prayer and worldliness, chapter 4, verse 3 and 4. 14, pride, stubbornness, impurity, double-mindedness, impenitence, chapter 4, verse 5 to 9. And then 15, evil speaking and uncharitable judgment, chapter 4, verse 11 to 12. Presumption in arranging future business enterprises, chapter 4, verse 13 to 16. Number 17, neglect of known duty, chapter 4, verse 17. And then the last part is warnings and exhortations with instruction. So warnings, exhortation, and instruction, chapter 5, which is the third part. So the book of James has been divided into 3. Okay, the first part is marks of a true religion. The second part is marks that show that it's a false religion or false, something that shows like what you're saying is not true, it's false. And then the last part, it's the third part, which is James giving us warning and then exhorting us and instructions about faith that he said we profess. Okay, so chapter 5, warning to the rich concerning future misery, like people who are stingy. Okay, chapter 5, verse 1 to 2. And then B, respecting hoarded wealth and withholding the wages of the poor, chapter 5, verse 3 to 4. So he's saying if you are rich, pay your workers. Don't hold it and let those who are poor to suffer. Okay, and a lot of rich people are very they're very stingy. So James is talking about it. C, chapter 5, which is warnings, exhortation, and instruction. C, concerning pleasure seeking and the persecution of the righteous, chapter 5, verse 5 to 6. Number 2, exhortations in view of the coming of the Lord. A, to be patient and steadfast. So no matter what, be patient, keep on serving. Even when you fall down, don't let anybody change your mind that, oh, you have sinned this. No. Confess it and keep on moving. That's how we serve God. Refraining from murmuring against one another. So we shouldn't, and that's one of the main problems we get. Whatever gift God has given you, pursue yours. Don't murmur about somebody's gift, or this person is this, can we destroy this person? No. Chapter 5 verse 7 to 10. And then B, to follow the example of the prophets, and especially Job, in patient endurance. Chapter 5 verse 10 to 11. And C, to refrain entirely from oaths. Don't swear easily. Okay, chapter 5 verse 12. Instructions respecting prayer, confession of faults, and soul winning, which is chapter number 3A, prayer in time of trouble and for the sick, James chapter 5 verse 13 to 15. And then confession of faults and intercessory prayer, James chapter 5 verse 16. And then C, effectual prayer illustrated by Elijah, James chapter 5 verse 16 to 18. And then D, the duty of soul winning, chapter 5 verse 19 to 20. And then we come to imagined doctrinal conflict between Paul and James. Paul and James, they were just struggling about the word faith. One says it should be backward works. And then Paul was also talking about faith, which is the saving faith. You don't need any work. So there was a little bit conflict here. So imagined doctrinal conflict between Paul and James. Some have seen a conflict of doctrine between the teachings of this epistle, James, and that of Romans that Paul wrote. This is purely imaginary. Okay, Paul, harassed by Judaism teachers or Judaistic teachers in the churches, naturally laid great stress upon justification by faith, apart from trust in ceremonial observances. Nevertheless, when writing to Titus, he made the importance of good works too. Paul also talked about good works, the main subject of his epistle, thus showing his perfect harmony with the teachings of James. It is evident that the latter, when he seems to depreciate faith, is referring to mere assent to truth and not to saving faith spoken of by Paul. Prominent people in the book of James, James himself and the Jewish Christians scattered abroad, according to James 1:1. May the Lord richly bless you.